Yo, welcome everybody back to the JV Sports Room. As usual, your host, JDino, the other half of the team behind the scenes, my man Vince.
Yeah.
Holding down the Kobe corner, big body boy himself, my man
sir.
Big J.
Yes, sir. Hey, it's a good week to be an Orlando Magic fan, Eagles fan. It's a good week to be me.
Holding it down, man.
Yeah.
And we going with a small lineup today. Got a wing, but in the starting center spot. My man Alex back on the show.
What's happening? How we doing?
Yes, sir. And over in the other wing, NBA analyst, fantasy basketball champion. Welcome back to the show, my man Javi.
Good to be back. Good to be back, bro.
That's his flowers over in the corner, Big J.
Give him his flowers. hey, I have to say, man, the young man learned. I told him everything I know, and he blossomed, man. He won the championship. Hey,
I don't know, man. A win's a win. I had good pointers from my boys over here. I didn't really know nothing about fantasy before last year. Shout out to my guys for giving me some pointers and all that.
Congrats, bro. Congrats.
But yeah, man, you mentioned it, so we might as well tip it off in the NBA with those Orlando Magic.
First
number one
pick.
draft pick.
First pick.
Huge.
Let's not forget that the OKC Thunder got the number two.
I take two. We was looking at like five. Two's the win. Two's the
one, baby.
Two's the win.
That's it, man. Number one draft pick, Orlando Magic. Tell me where they going, Big J.
Man, in this draft, deep draft class, we saw, in the March Madness, we saw a lot of these players that are going to be in the conversation, man. But to me, I know me and Javi had, talks off screen talking about, this could be 3 number one overall draft picks in this draft class. Could be 3 guys that could be considered in that number one spot.
For sure.
If it's me, it's got to be JABARI Smith, forward, Auburn, gives you that length, shooting ability that the Magic desperately need. But I mean, it could be CHET. I don't know. You guys tell me.
Hey, look, man, I too am an Orlando Magic fan, and I would not be mad at them at all taking CHET. I personally love the way he compliments Wendell Carter amongst the bigs. He's a shot blocking. He's long, pause. And Wendell is strong. He rebounds. So I think they'll complement each other well on defense and obviously on offense. So I like the CHET pick too.
Not bad. I'm with CHET too. I think his ability to play inside and out as well. He's just like you said, a good compliment to Wendell. I just think he's a good fit for the team overall. I think we can get rid of a couple of people to make room for him as well.
Obama got to go. Sorry,
I'm with you.
go.
I'm with you on CHET too. I like him a lot.
See, my thing, I love, like I said, I love the call CHET. To me, CHET gives you something that no other prospect in this draft is going to give you, and that's his length, his defense ability. If he is what we think he could be, as far as being able to be a playmaker on the outside of the, on the perimeter potentially, to me, he's the unicorn of this draft class.
I like that.
Either from a distance, he's a unicorn, but as you get closer, I hope he does. If they do take him, I hope he doesn't become a donkey with the horn on his head, like Kristaps Porzingis. But JABARI Smith, CHET Holmgren, I don't think you can go wrong, honestly.
Let me ask you something. Being a big body boy, when you look at CHET, when you bring him to the NBA and the way they play, do you try to change his size? Because he's just...
I think he has to put weight on either way.
For sure.
He's like 145 pounds soaking wet. He has to put weight on either way.
Or do you let him play his own way? Like, not everybody's... We see Kevin Durant never changed.
Right.
Well, I'm not comparing him to Kevin Durant, but I'm saying size-wise, Kevin Durant's never changed.
He's breaking down, though, now late in his career, and that's what we've talked about. Maybe if you want to withstand him, you got to put some type of muscle on him.
I agree.
I mean, this is the big leagues now.
That's my only concern about him, too.
He has to. He's at 195 right now.
Yeah.
I'm 190.
Big frame. Yeah, big
So
frame.
it's just that alone.
Over
Paulo's 6'10", 250.
Right.
So I'm like, when you look at a big body, 6'10", 7'7", 190, 195, he'll be good either way, but you got to get some
I guess the
muscle.
question really is whether you want to put size on him in it or not is, where do you see him playing? What style of player? Is he going to be the big body Rudy Gobert type big, or is he going to be a little bit more fluid, like a Evan Mobley? Is he going to be that type of big, be able to play on the perimeter? Maybe he can get away with just being 190. Maybe he puts on a couple pounds.
I personally, if you want to keep him and hope that he turns into a Kevin Durant, sure. But I liked more of making him into a Jason Tatum. Put more of a little weight on him. He's a little bigger than Jason Tatum, but his game is similar to Jason's. And if you could put a little weight on him, he could be just as good as Jason. Maybe one day.
That's how I feel about Jabari, honestly.
Yeah,
he gives me Jason Tatum.
That's why I want him on OKC for sure. 6'10",
that's a good look for you.
And Paolo's 6'10", Jabari's 6'10", and when you look at Jabari just has handles more, and he's a good defender. And we need somebody that can play off the ball. I don't want somebody that's going to ISO a lot, which is kind of why I want to stay away from Paolo. I feel like he might be a little ball dominant, but either way, any of these 3 picks for us, because we were supposed to get 6 or 7, is a win. Any of these 3 guys is a win for us.
Huge. And even Houston comes out big as well. They end up taking the next whoever's left to them. So it could be 3 number 1 picks in this draft as far as prospects. So, man, it's exciting to be an Orlando Magic
It's
fan.
going to be fun to watch.
It is. You know who else is exciting to be right now? Probably a Miami Heat fan, right? Hey, we talked about the draft. We might as well jump into these NBA playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Miami Heat up 1 game on the Boston Celtics right now, but we got a long series. There was a couple guys out for Boston game 1, right? Yeah. And, they still haven't gone back to Boston yet. So looking into this series, going into it, who you guys like, man?
You mentioned it with Al Horford and Marcus Smart being out game 1. It hurts. Those are 2 defensive leaders. And yeah, I really think I really want to start with Miami. I think we need to start putting a little bit more respect on Miami, putting a little bit more respect on Jimmy Butler and them boys. Outside of Boston, this is probably the best defensive team left in the playoffs.
Yep. Easily.
It's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight. The series is definitely not over yet. I still got Miami.
I got Miami too, but I wouldn't bet on them. That's how I'm feeling right now, especially like that first half. And I'm checking the score. There was like 7 minutes left, and I think Boston was up. When I'm watching that, as somebody who bet on the Heat, it just doesn't. It scared me a little bit.
Right.
And right now, from what I've seen, Jimmy Butler's playing the best basketball out of anybody in the playoffs. He had back-to-back steals, easy, fast break. And this is still without Laurie. And, PJ Tucker was wobbling a little bit. But like Jay said, Al Horford's been their star for the Celtics.
Huge, right?
Marcus Smart, Defensive Player of the Year. But at least they got Robert Williams back. So full healthy Celtics. That's going to be spooky.
It'll be
That's
tough.
going to be scary.
Obviously you guys mentioned Jimmy Butler, man. But I want to give some type of praise to this guy, Bam Adebayo, man. He is a defensive monster. Personally, I think he should have been Defensive Player of the Year.
Bam?
Yeah. But he thinks he should have been too. But he made some huge plays in game 1. And obviously he's going to be a big factor alongside Jimmy. I feel like throughout these playoffs so far, outside of Jimmy, he's been the only real consistent factor that you can say has been there for them.
If he doesn't step up offensively this series, even though he's my pick, I don't think they can beat the Celtics without Bam stepping up. And he didn't have much points.
Even though I like Bam, I'm still pulling for these Celtics though.
Yeah.
I like what Tatum and Brown are doing, man. It's hard to stop those guys one-on-one. And even though you have a defensive monster in Jimmy, you can't guard them both, right? And they scheme well against them, but I like Boston still, man.
Let's not forget that Boston lost game 1 to Milwaukee in this last series.
Very true.
We saw how they responded. Man, Jason Tatum is just you're watching him develop, and he's literally blossoming in front of our eyes. What he's able to do, what he did last series, and hopefully he's able to translate it into this series. It's like I said, this series is it's far from over. But the more veteran team, even though Boston has some veterans, but the more veteran team is Miami. Max Strus is playing some big minutes for them. It's gonna be interesting to see where this story goes.
I think game 2 is the deciding factor. I think if Boston loses again in Miami, I don't think they win. I don't think they can close it out. I think Miami's just going to take the jump, and I think they might close it in 6. I think Miami closes it in 6.
Good. Hey.
So that's where I'm at.
And I got to shout out Ime Udoka, man. He was on the coaching staff for the Spurs for a very long time, just getting a lot of knowledge from Pop, holding it down. So he's a proven coach so far for me. He's proven a lot, and that's a big factor, I feel like, for the Boston Celtics. They got one of the best coaches in the league so far.
And on that same note, I had to give the same props to Eric Spoelstra. You know, to be able to do what he's doing with this roster. You know, we've seen Jimmy Butler in different teams in different situations.
Yep.
Hasn't really worked out well. So for him to fall under Eric Spoelstra and follow in line and bring up these veterans that have, you know, a little bit of pizzazz to them, like Jimmy Butler, and you know, we thought it was the big three, and Spoelstra was just behind the scenes. But now we're seeing, you know, Spoelstra is actually a great coach.
He sat down Duncan Robinson and put in Strus, who last year nobody even knew who he was.
Right.
Going into the playoffs this year, that's one thing I talked a lot about. I'm like, why Duncan Robinson? We seen him in the finals in the bubble, hitting contested threes, offensively going crazy. Yeah. And I had my doubts starting Strus, and he made me eat my words.
So both coaches, man. Both coaches.
Strus and Gabe Vincent. That was the coach giving him that
Gabe
burn.
Vincent is getting his minutes because of no Kyle Lowry. Right? But he's stepping up. He's stepping up huge, man. But over on the West Coast, right? I mean, we didn't even expect Dallas to be here. Right? But they're here.
No chance.
Sorry, Dallas fans.
They beat Phoenix, and they're headed to play Golden State in these conference finals. Who you guys like, guys?
I can't call this.
I'm rooting for Dallas. But once again, I would not bet on Dallas against Golden State. I just want to seeing Luka in the finals will be crazy, but just comparing rosters right now, Golden State has the better team, and this is statistically one of Curry's worst playoffs so far.
He's not doing that,
and I still wouldn't bet against him. And he's playing one of his worst playoff careers so far. So rooting for Dallas, but wouldn't bet on them. Would not bet on them.
I mean, you look at it on paper, man. This Golden State team is scary. You know, I was a big fan of those Memphis Grizzlies, and it's unfortunate that, you know, the injuries with Ja. But this Golden State team is tough. You know, we touched on it for the past weeks. Is the step up in Jordan Poole's game. It just really has been the game changer for them. You mentioned Steph Curry and not playing to the level that we know Steph Curry to be. They probably are not here without Jordan Poole.
No.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
You know, I've said that before. I've said that before.
So
easy.
Again, going back to the Dallas side, I don't think anybody saw them in this position. But you know, that three-headed rotation monster that they have at the guard position with Luka, Dinwiddie, and Brunson. It's hard, man.
Personally, I think this is going to be a big series. You know, we talk about the shooters on Golden State, but I think this is going to be a big series for like an Andrew Wiggins. I think he's going to be guarding Luka a lot. And, you know, because of that, he's going to be in the game a lot, making a lot of big plays. So look for Andrew Wiggins to have a big series, man.
I'm kind of with Javi on this. I'm rooting for Dallas, but I can't bet against Golden State. I'm not so sure that Dallas is going to stay consistent the whole way through, and that's what scares me. I don't know if Dinwiddie's going to give you 30.
Right, probably.
I don't think Dinwiddie's going to do that every game. So it's really going to come down to Brunson's been playing well. I can't say anything about him. He's been consistently playing well all throughout the playoffs. So he's going to do his thing, I believe. But you're going to have to play through Luka, and that's where I think the problem is. I think that if Luka has a problem defensively, if he starts getting shut down, Golden State just got a better offensive. They just have a better offensive team, and I don't think you're going to be able to stop Golden State. I think you're going to be able to stop Luka. I don't think you can stop a whole Golden State. So like I said, cheering for Luka. Want to see him in it too. Yeah. Cut out the flopping a little bit. Take it easy with that.
No, but yeah, I agree with Alex for sure. One thing I will say is if Spencer Dinwiddie don't have a consistent good series, I don't see Dallas winning at all. I think he's the X factor. It's going to come up to him. Everybody else, I think, is going to do what they got to do. You're going to see Jalen Brunson ball. Luka, Finney-Smith's going to play his defense. If Dinwiddie don't come to hoop, then it'll be over in 5, maybe 4. That's how much I think he's a factor.
Both of these teams actually are similar. They actually are both top 5 defensive teams, believe it or not. However, they both stretch the floor, and that's how both of them kill you is with the 3-ball, the long ball, right? But Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors just do it better.
Yeah.
So I think that's at the end of the day, give me Golden State. I've been cheering for them from the beginning, so I'm taking them the whole way.
And, you know, before we move on, can we just all bow our heads and have a moment of silence for the Phoenix Suns? Just for the Phoenix Suns.
It's heartbreaking, man. It's heartbreaking.
Just because
losing,
man.
This is books, second playoff
Yeah,
I think so. I'm not. You still got time, but I think this is CP's last chance at the finals. Unless the Suns, unless the Suns make a big trade.
Yeah.
I think you didn't have no Clippers. You didn't have Kawhi Paul George. You didn't have Porter and Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
What do you trade for?
Or the Lakers.
What do you trade for?
I don't know.
It's safe to say the West was at its lowest
this is the
this season. So
the worst you're going to see.
They had to take advantage, and they didn't. So
Portland. These Portland guys are going to go somewhere. Dane's going to go somewhere. They're done.
And the uprise of so many other teams, like
the
we talked about, like the Pelicans.
You got a lot of teams.
Minnesota, Memphis.
So we may have seen the last of Chris Paul's championship.
Memphis is going to be scary for years.
Like me and Jay, we had a discussion at work. We said, this was a while ago, we said, there's going to be a team to be the next Utah Jazz. Regular season juggernaut. And then when you get into the playoffs, you just don't look the same.
I mean,
and
but
I think it's the Suns.
At the end of the day, as much as I love this guy, that's been Chris Paul his whole career. So
it's all that. It's the curse, man. It's the curse of when they, with the trade that didn't go through, the trade that didn't happen. The Laker trade.
Yeah.
That was Adam Silver, man.
Sorry, Nelly. Sorry, J Money. I know you guys are still hurting on that one.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all we got for the NBA as of right now, man. Plenty of things going on, so we'll jump back into it again another time, man. But Javi, appreciate you joining the show again, brother.
You already know. OKC.
Good luck to
no more tanking.
OKC on the number 2
No more tanking. That's it. That's it.
Number 2 pick.
We on the way,
you guys, man.
Congrats.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, well, I appreciate my man Javi. He had to slide, but we in the NFL now. We are going to jump into this AFC West. Supposedly the best division in football right about now.
One of them.
It's hard to say otherwise.
But before I go any further, man, let me shout out to all the JV Sports viewers. Can't forget about y'all. We had 1,000 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go.
We here.
We
here.
Yes, sir.
So shout out to y'all. Appreciate all the love you guys been showing. Keep showing it, please.
Yeah.
We ain't going nowhere.
Nope.
Appreciate you guys, man. Staying loyal to the soil.
Facts. But in the AFC West, we're going to kick it off like usual.
That's a sure.
At the top, Kansas City Chiefs.
Let's get into it.
Some will say they got worse this offseason. They lost Tyreek Hill, Cheetah, right? However, they did pretty good in the draft. So, how you guys like these Kansas City Chiefs?
I'm going in. All right, look.
You got to act up.
Wind you up.
Yeah, no, turn me down, dog. No, turn me down. 'Cause, listen, they're about to be exposed this year.
Oh.
Okay, so listen. Let's just go over some numbers, okay? So Pat last year, I'm not going to Pat is Pat. He's going to do his thing. He's going to be a good quarterback. He threw 4,800 yards, okay? 37 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Great year. No hate on Pat. This is the thing. 9 of those touchdowns went to Tyreek Hill. You are going to lose so many touchdowns, it's not even going to be funny, okay? None of these guys are Tyreek Hill, and none of them measure. And you didn't bring in another Tyreek Hill. You brought in a Juju. That's not...
They brought in a Juju, but then they also brought in a Sky Moore in the second round.
Okay, that's fine. All right, let's flip side then. Let's talk about their defense.
Yep.
What defense?
First round pick, Trent McDuffie.
Okay, Trent McDuffie. Great. I agree with that. Trent McDuffie. Then who you got? They have never had a secondary.
It's true.
They traded the one good piece of secondary that they had. Oh, not traded.
Yeah, they lost the Honey Badger. Honey Badger in free agency, moves on. You mentioned Trent McDuffie. They draft him in the first round. They lose Tre'Davious Ward to J Money's 49ers.
They got Frank Clark.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see them getting better.
Yeah.
Okay. They went 12-5 last year.
They did.
Do I think they're going to get better than 12-5? Absolutely not. I think Pat's production goes down. I don't believe they have a defense that's going to be able to keep up with this high scoring. Won the division alone.
Right.
That's another thing. Divisionally, where they're going to end up in there, I have no idea. So I just don't believe the Kansas City is going to be the Kansas City of old.
Right. A part of me agrees with you. A part of me agrees with you for the simple fact that I think the downfall for the Kansas City Chiefs, we're seeing a shift here. We're going to see a shift in the team, that dynamic, how their offense is run. But the downfall to their team is they can't pick on this division anymore. This division is better.
100%.
Down the board, it's better. So they're not going to be able to pick on the Denvers. They're not going to be able to pick on the Raiders anymore.
Nope.
Or the Chargers. It's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight every single week these guys play. But at the same time, like I said earlier, I think we're going to see a shift in this offense. I think the explosive down the field, Tyreek Hill down the field is going to be gone. I think we're going to see a little bit more methodical Patrick Mahomes, utilizing Travis Kelce in the seams. We mentioned Sky Moore, who gives him a burner on the outside. They also brought in Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster. So they have other weapons to get it done. It's just going to take Patty to be Patty. You pay this guy, but now it's on him to lead this team.
You're asking a guy to change his gameplay. Patrick Mahomes makes most of his money outside of the pocket. We know this. Patrick Mahomes runs and throws and exposes defenses when his great receivers and his great tight ends get open behind defenses, which happens all the time. Scramble mode. Tyreek somehow crossing the field on a crap route that he wasn't supposed to run, and then he runs for 100 yards on the field. Pat makes his living outside the pocket. Now, can Pat change his game to play that way? I don't know. And then is their run good enough? Is the run good enough to sustain keeping defenders off of your receivers?
If Patrick Mahomes is going to be considered one of the greatest quarterbacks of our time, he better. That's my response to that. Is he better step up. He better lead this team of lesser talent and raise them up like a quarterback should. Like we've seen Tom Brady do in the past.
Aaron
That's what I wanted to
Rodgers.
say. Exactly. You know what? Tom Brady's done it in the past. We've seen Aaron Rodgers do it in the past. So if he wants to be that GOAT, we call him the young GOAT, right? So if he wants to be that GOAT, he's got to do it with this lesser talent. Right. I agree 100%.
And you mentioned the defense. I think they lost some pieces, yes, but they also addressed some pieces. One thing I did respect that they did is we mentioned during the draft, the wide receiver run came and it went quick. Mm-hmm. Instead of forcing the issue and drafting somebody, out of position, they stuck to their board and they took Trent McDuffie, cornerback out of Washington who feels the need, and they got George Karlaftis, a defensive end out of Purdue, who also feels the need. They got two impact players that are going to be day one starters on this roster. Now it's up, like you said, it's up to Patty Mahomes to get guys like Sky Moore and Juju Smith-Schuster up to speed. Let's see their run game get involved. They bring in Rojo comes over from Tampa. Mm-hmm. They still have their first round pick from a couple years ago, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So, like I said, I think we're going to see a little bit of change in their offense. It's going to be a little bit more dink and dunk, a little bit more on Patty, instead of, like you said, running out of the pocket and just hoping Tyreek comes down with it.
I think eventually Patty will gain trust in some of his weapons enough to do so, but I think early in the season it's definitely going to be like that for sure. But another team that made the playoffs was those Las Vegas Raiders. Like to shout out my man Moss, the boss. He big time Las Vegas Raiders fan.
Big Raiders.
He's actually very high on these Raiders going into this season. Been talking to him. Obviously, the adding of Devontae Adams is huge, right? Mm-hmm. He thinks that Josh McDaniels is going to turn Darren Waller into another Gronk, is his opinion. Right. So he feels like between Renfro and Devontae Adams with Waller that he's looking forward to this offense this season for sure.
It's going to be scary.
Yeah.
And of course, Josh Jacobs in the backfield. They added Zamir White in the draft. Mm-hmm. So, looking into this Raiders offense, how you guys like them this year?
The Raiders, to me, last season, I was a big Chargers guy. Like I was big on the Chargers, man. But what I saw from this Raiders team, being the scrappy team that they were,
going through a bunch of trash the whole season, field, on field.
Exactly. Seeing them overcome all of that and to see where they're at today, it just gives me so much hope for this Raiders team.
Thanks.
If I'm a betting man, I don't know what the odds are, but put some money in on the Las Vegas Raiders winning the Super Bowl. The big body Nostradamus for no reason, but I'm just saying, just do it. This is the Josh McDaniels era now. We haven't seen him in this position since he took Tim Tebow, number one in the first round, back in Denver. But he's had time to go to the Bill Belichick learning tree. He learned from the guru himself, and now he has his own roster. You mentioned the offense, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfro, Darren Waller. It's going to be scary. You can't double Waller anymore. Right. Waller was getting double teamed game in and game out. Now with Devontae Adams, it releases the pressure off of Waller.
Yep.
The defense. Chandler Jones.
Max Crosby.
Chandler Jones and Max Crosby.
Denzel Perryman. Jonathan Abram.
Jonathan Abrams still there. The defense is going to be what is going to be the unspoken hero of this team.
Yeah, you're right. Because Moss is actually really high on a couple of their young, talented defensive players as well. Devin Deblo and Kuntz, the defensive end. Deblo comes over from Virginia Tech. He thinks he's going to have a big year as well. So yeah, you're right on it. I think you're right. The Raiders defense is going to be the unspoken hero of that team.
You guys are going defense. I'm going to have to say it's going to be offensive side because look, just hear me out, okay? So Derek Carr threw for 4,800 yards last season with 23 touchdowns and 14 of those coming from interceptions. Okay, so now you're adding Devontae Adams to this. Most of your touchdowns came from Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller, okay? You're adding one of the leading touchdown catchers in the NFL to your team that you played with, you have connection with, you already know him. I believe that Derek Carr is going to shore up some of those interceptions. Because, I mean, 23 to 14 is a lot. I mean, you're almost over half. So he shores up those a little bit. You got to assume that Devontae Adams is going to eat because he's Devontae Adams.
Right. And Waller
if
was
not,
hurt for a lot of last season.
Waller was hurt.
So
and if not, he's going to free.
The consistent piece he had was Renfrow last year.
Exactly.
Honestly. Jacobs was out of the lineup for a lot of last year as well. So
you got to assume that Carr is going to have a way better year this year. Way better year. Maybe touching 5,000, probably over maybe a 55. It might be up there.
So why not Nostradamus? Why not?
That's a good call.
Hey, why not? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what the numbers look like, but if you can get some money in on these Raiders to win this division and potentially win the Super Bowl, it could be big money.
A couple dollars won't hurt, bro.
Exactly. So RIP to the John Gruden era, the Mike Mayock era. It's crazy to see where this team is today, but where it could be if the other organization, the prior organization, was a little bit more competent. I mean, gone is Henry Ruggs. They just traded Brian Edwards to the Atlanta Falcons. Lynn Bowden Jr. was a 3rd-round pick. Damon Arnett was a 1st-round pick. You got 1st and 2nd-round picks, 3rd-round picks that are not that just a couple years ago that were drafted that are off the team. So Las Vegas Raiders,
to say the least, right?
Las Vegas Raiders are definitely looking to make some noise. Also with some other teams in this division is tough.
It's crazy.
It is. So we might as well talk about the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, they just missed the playoffs last year. How you guys feel about them? They added a lot in free agency in Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson. And obviously, they did pretty well in the draft as far as offense. So looking forward to these Chargers this season.
Yeah, I think defensively is what they needed to do. I think they went out and got everything that they needed to get on the defensive side of the ball. I think getting J.C. Jackson is one of the biggest things that they could have done because the guy's missed an interception. The dude picks off any ball that's in his area.
Right.
Huge pick. Khalil Mack obviously is going to be Khalil Mack. He showed up the middle of the field now for sure. You got a solid middle linebacker just hanging out. Can play both. I mean, interceptions, sacks, whatever you need him to do, he's there. You still got Bosa coming off the edge.
That's crazy.
That's creepy. It's
And all that alongside probably one of the most high-powered offenses in the league behind Justin Herbert, who is continuing year in and year out having spectacular season after spectacular season.
Yeah, even Moss, he said Justin Herbert is ridiculous. And he feels like all 3 of these teams that we've mentioned so far are going to make the playoffs this year. And Denver is the only team odd man out. And I mean, that's Moss's opinion, but we'll go with that.
I mean, Chargers have 2 receivers over 1,000 yards. Grayson over 1,000 yards. You got one of the best running backs in Austin Eckler. I can't. You can't call this division. All right, we're 3 teams deep. We're only 3 teams in, and we're still not even haven't talked about one of the biggest additions to the whole division yet.
We mentioned the defense. We mentioned the offense. And what do the Chargers do? Is they address their needs. They continue to address their needs. They get Zion Johnson, an offensive lineman out of Boston College in the 1st round of the draft. You continue, like I always say, 3 ways to develop a team. Get a quarterback, protect your quarterback, get after the quarterback. They're getting after the quarterback with Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. They're protecting the quarterback with the 1st round picks from last year, offensive lineman, and now this year with Zion Johnson. And they got the quarterback in Justin Herbert. So, man, you mentioned Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, breakout season. This team is ready to go. They just missed the playoffs this past year. It's unfortunate for them. But let's get Brandon Staley, the head coach, to right the ship and get this team in the playoffs. You mentioned Moss saying 3 of these teams can make the playoffs. I'm going to go out on the limb and say all 4 of these teams make the playoffs.
That's crazy. That's crazy to say.
All 4.
That's a big money.
A lot of craziness would have to happen. And I'm not even sure if it's possible. I'm not even sure according to. But hey, man, that would be awesome to see for sure. I mean, if any other division in football can do it, it's this team. It's this division, right?
The only thing that knocks that off is if they start beating each other up, and you know
that's just what happens. They play each other twice a year, so that's usually what ends up happening. But you guys mentioned these Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Let's talk about them. Like I said, Moss, he thinks they are the odd man out in this division. Unfortunately, he says he feels like Russell Wilson is a huge upgrade. He's just on the decline a little bit. Like I said, that's coming from Moss. How you guys feel about the Denver Broncos getting Russell Wilson and Randy Gregory and on the defensive side of the ball?
Sound like Moss is coming from a little bit of a Raiders bias. Like a little bit too much of the cuckoo juice. Denver Broncos started at the top. You know, you bring in Nathaniel Hackett, who comes over as the offensive coordinator for the Packers. Now he's the head coach of these Denver Broncos. And off the top of the head, what's the first move they do? We mentioned it all year, last year.
Russ.
Get these guys a quarterback, and they get Russell Wilson, who I disagree again, Moss. And you know, we can see face to face if you want. Nah, I disagree. I don't think he's on a decline. I think the Seattle Seahawks kind of limited his ability with the play calling, and we started to see the downcline towards the end of the year. But I still think Russ has a live arm. He has weapons to throw to. And this team, believe it or not, was 1 or 2 wins away from making the playoffs themselves.
Very true. Very true.
So I think Russell Wilson gets him those 1 or 2 wins that they needed.
Right.
If not more. So, and again, another team with a very young, explosive defense. And with the additional Russ, now the offense can match.
Pretty solid running game.
Not gonna lie.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm just saying that on behalf of Moss. That's not how I feel.
Okay.
Right.
Russell Wilson is a huge add to these Denver Broncos.
Big time.
Okay. He has weapons, and for the first time in Russell Wilson's career, he has an offensive line.
Yeah.
Seattle's been bummed for that. They've had the opportunity to fix that for years, and that's what they get.
And I heard you mention it as well. He's got a great running game too. They did re-sign Melvin Gordon along with the young stud in Javonte Williams. So
you got 2 running backs almost touching 1,000 apiece. Crazy. That's huge.
Yeah. You mentioned his weapons. Don't forget, you know, this offseason, Jerry Jeudy got caught up in some
that's right.
possible domestic violence allegations, got arrested.
Yeah.
So
hopefully he doesn't lose any time for that.
Hopefully he doesn't use it. That's a young weapon that Russell Wilson's going to be counting on for the season. So, but they do have a lot more weapons. You know, Cortland Sutton on the outside, Tim Patrick. They lose Noah Fant, but they bring over Greg Dulcich, a UCLA tight end. They also have Albert Okwuegbunam on their roster from last season, who's a Missouri kid, tight end. So he definitely has weapons to throw to.
Russ last year threw 6 interceptions. Talk about protecting the ball and just that's the thing about Russ. Smart decision making. Russ isn't going to lose you games on turnovers. Russ is the type of person that I think Denver needed if they were going to succeed, because he's going to be able to control a game, slow the pace of a game, because Denver gets in grind out games. That's one thing I know is they have really close games. Everything's real tight, and that was last year. So imagine adding Russ, someone that can manage a game, has a good arm. Like, its arm's declining a little bit, but
you guys called it, man. He only had 6 interceptions because he didn't play a full slate of games.
But how many touchdowns do you have? 25?
Right, absolutely.
That's a crazy ratio, even if.
Still a great ratio. But yeah, Russ has the weapons he needs to succeed. The defense, the offensive line. So why not the Denver Broncos? Who you guys like in this division? If we had to say one team wins the division, who you guys like in the division?
You got me gassed up on all of a sudden. You got me gassed up on the Raiders all of a sudden. I was going to come in and say the Chargers. Me personally, I was coming in to say the Chargers. We're probably going to take this division. But now I'm sitting here thinking about these Raiders. I'm a betting man. And I would go to the book, and I might have to look at this one. You really got me thinking. Because I'm looking at Derek Carr's play. I'm looking at
McDaniels as a head coach.
That's crazy. I'm saying.
As a betting man, you're probably better off taking the Raiders because the Chargers probably have better odds to win anyway.
Yeah,
because
I mean,
But I
but
want
again,
money's worth.
you say that so smoothly like that, but at the same time, these Las Vegas Raiders made the playoffs.
And if Vegas is seeing the same thing we're all seeing,
argument. I'm just saying, as far as the books are concerned, they probably have better odds.
yeah,
than the
we'll have to
books.
check it. But these Vegas Raiders made the playoffs. They add Devontae Adams, add Chandler Jones.
And
Man.
hopefully they don't have to deal with as much scrutiny as they went through last year, right?
In fact,
So-
for sure. It's tough. It's tough call, man. Who do you guys have winning this division? I leave it up to the people.
R.I.P. Kansas City. R.I.P. Kansas City. That's what I'm saying. R.I.P. We might see Kansas City drop to the bottom of the division. That's what I'm saying. It might be Denver and Kansas City at the bottom with either the Chargers or the Raiders
So my
at
man
the top.
Alex, are you going on to say if 3 teams make the playoffs, the one team out is Kansas City?
It might not be KC. KC might have to take a boot.
Alex is low-key saying Kansas City's not making the playoffs.
I don't believe in you guys. If you're a Kansas City fan out there, I don't believe in you at all. You're the weakest, and it's probably the division.
I'm going to go on the stretch and say all 4 of these teams make it. Because of the new change in the playoff,
That's nice.
we have the 4 division winners, but now you have the 3 wildcard spots. So we have the division winner and then 3 wildcard spots.
And they get every single wild card.
every single one. Yeah, I'm going to go on a limb and say I can't choose.
They would all have to go 1-1 in the
happens,
division.
then they would be hands down the best division. Like there's
There's no debate.
no debating at that point in time.
For sure.
All right, gentlemen, that's all the time we got for today. Appreciate you helping me knock out arguably the best division in
sir.
football.
Yeah.
All in on the West.
All in, baby.
Them boys,
in
I
the
don't know,
West.
but make it strong.
Yeah.
All right, Big J. Appreciate you holding down that Kobe corner.
Thank you, guys.
sir.
Got you. Hey, appreciate you guys for staying loyal, liking the videos, watching. You know, you give us a platform to do what we do. This is what we love, man. So always remember one thing, man. Think big, do big, win big. Body.
Big body
That was
boy.
good.
And my man Alex, appreciate you coming through,
Yes, sir.
holding down.
Always. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you guys for following. We appreciate you guys and all the love you continue to show us. Make sure you continue to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Continue to like and subscribe for those who haven't. Check out sportjv.com for all our merch. And if you want to obviously support the show, CASHAPP, JVSPORTSROOM. And obviously, I got a quote for you guys from longtime Raiders fan, Ice Cube. Don't worry about being a star. Worry about doing good work, and all that will come to you. Thank you guys for watching.
Sure.